Alright guys, welcome back to a new review. Today we're taking a look at Masters of the Universe Skeletor. This is the Giants version. So Mattel has come out with the a new line of Masters of the Universe figures. They're based on the 1980s vintage original toys. And what they've done is they've made them in a giant scale, which is essentially a 12-inch tall figure. So this is the brown shipper that he comes packed in. And I went ahead and pulled him out of that. And this is the packaging that he comes in. It's a giant blister card, which you do have to destroy to get the figure out, which is kind of a shame. It really looks awesome in package. And if you've seen my He-Man early review, you got to see what the figure looks like in package. And this is the card back with the cross cell. This line includes 4 figures: He-Man, Skeletor, Stratos, and Beastman. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the figure. So this is Skeletor out of package, and as you can see, it's a really faithful recreation of the original toy, just blown up into this giant 12-inch scale. The colors are all vibrant and well done. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera, but the paint job on the skull itself is really nice. It's actually got this semi or high gloss finish to it, so it really comes across as vibrant and quite colorful. Really well done. You can kind of see where how it's picking up the camera light, and it's very reflective in that way, but it looks just awesome in hand. That is a great looking Skeletor. It's kind of like the original toy blown up, and it looks even better than the vintage toys I've seen pictures of. Very nice quality. Give you a good look at the whole figure. It's got that armor that is removable. And that 3-toed thing he's got going on. You will notice that this giant size does have some differences from the vintage. Like you'll notice this cut line here. It's not extra articulation, so don't try and force that. It's just the way they put the figure together. This figure functions exactly like the vintage figure, all the way down to the action feature, which I'll get to very shortly. But you can see those are the tabs right there. You can take the armor off if you want. So an excellent recreation of the vintage action figure. And we'll get into articulation now. The head just swivels left and right, just like the vintage figure. The arm is also same way. Joints are very tight, so it just goes up and down. The legs have a new, well, it functions the same way as the vintage figures had the rubber band, except for now, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a nylon string in there, sort of like a bungee cord, and also a notch, so you can actually get the figure to stand well. It locks it in place. And the last feature is, or point of articulation, is the action feature, which is the power punch. So really cool that they incorporated that. So overall, a really nice looking action figure. Looks awesome. And I'd like to go ahead and show you just the couple of accessories that Skeletor comes with. And one is his famous Havoc staff. And I did try it. It fits nice and snugly into his hand. Just molded in this purple plastic. Looks really nice in Skeletor's hand there. And then the other item is the power sword. And just like with the vintage figure, the power sword, you only get half of it. But I went ahead and connected it to He-Man's half of the power sword. So now we have a complete power sword. Skeletor's or He-Man's, you decide. But unlike the vintage figure, the Giants one, the power sword fits together really nicely. Not perfect. I mean, you can see in the hilt there, it's slightly open. But when you pop it together, it holds together really well. There's really not much of a seam, but you'll notice there is a little bit of a seam still. But all in all, it does hold together really well. Very cool feature. Now having He-Man and Skeletor, you can complete the sword, which is very awesome. Speaking of the sword, wanted to go ahead and show you something that I picked up. If you watch my He-Man review, you'll know what's coming. The Icon Heroes letter openers. They're scaled replicas of the power sword, and they make them for a multitude of in different colors. He-Man's colors, Faker, Skeletor, and I believe Prince Adam. So on a hunch on buying these figures, I bought those in hopes that they would be in scale. And you could see here, they pretty much are. If you remember in the He-Man review, I tried it in his hand and it fit perfectly, kind of like a glove. Almost as if it was meant to be. You know, obviously that's not the case because these figures came out after the power sword. But in any event, if you want a die-cast version of Skeletor's sword, this is a nice option. It is heavy, but the figure does hold it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in his hand. One moment. Sorry, guys. Apologize for that. Okay. So there you can see Skeletor holding the Icon Heroes letter opener. And I think that's the way I might display him. Might go with the Havoc staff. I'm not too sure. But it's definitely a nice option for you guys if you're interested in, you know, upgrading, or maybe you don't have He-Man, so you got half a sword. And I think it looks a lot nicer as well. So that's a look at Skeletor, and just wanted to go ahead and give you a size comparison and bring in the Masters of the Universe Classics Skeletor. As you can see, he's double the size. Colors are a nice match. You can see the vintage figure's got a more vibrant purple, which is nice. And you can see some design cue changes. Obviously, Skeletor was wearing the full boot versus the Classics has his feet showing. Also, Classics have more articulation and detail. But this is just for size comparison. And here he is next to the Giants He-Man. I think they look fantastic together. This was my plan initially, is to get these two to represent the line for me. But since getting them, I'm thinking I might be interested in go ahead and collecting the rest of the line, the other two figures, and in hope that maybe the line will do well and they'll continue to make a few more. So that's it, guys. That's a look at the Skeletor from the Masters of the Universe Giants collection. Again, they're 12-inch tall, and I highly recommend them. The nostalgia feel, the vintage look, the quality. I think these guys look fantastic on a shelf together, and I can't recommend them enough. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching, subscribing, and commenting.